Welcome back. I am unapologetically Eric. You can find me on X at Eric Not Sorry or on Facebook at Unapologetically Eric. Today is 9/11. Where were you on 9/11 2001? I remember where I was. I'm going to get into that and some other things that have happened over the years. But 9/11 2001, I remember exactly where I was that day. I was at work. I know, shocking. I was in the welding department office helping work on paperwork. We were creating some paperwork. And there was this guy, Bill, R.I.P. He came down to me and my boss and said, "Have you guys heard about what has happened at the Twin Towers?" And we're like, no, because we didn't have a TV or radio and any of that. I mean, there were no smartphones to speak of, right? So we're like, no, we haven't heard. He goes, "Oh, dude, a plane hit one of the towers." We're like, what? We're like, wow, holy shit. Everyone's like, what? My first thought was, wow, that's a pretty big fucking accident, you know? I mean, there's planes that fly around, all the time, and it's like, holy shit, wow, that's crazy. So Bill then says that the lady in the office has a small TV on up there, and they're watching it. So we're like, oh, okay, yeah, we want to go check this out. So my boss and we go up to the front office, and we're watching, and yeah, sure, they have the live shot in the corner of the screen over the shoulder of, the anchor that was talking. And then I point. I'm like, "There's another plane." My boss goes, "No, that's a, basically not a recreation. It's like a replay of, what happened." I'm like, "No, that building's already on fire. That's another plane." And on live TV, we stood there and watched the second plane come in and hit that tower. And I'm not going to get into any of the conspiracy theories on this day. I am not going down that rabbit hole. I'm not. Because what I know on that day, regardless of anything, over 3,000 people died that day. Tragic. Absolutely tragic. The skyline of New York City changed in an instant. And I still can see that second plane flying in. And of course, as the day progressed, more reports came in. One hit the Pentagon, and the one that went down in the field in Pennsylvania. Again, I'm not getting into the conspiracy theories. You believe what you want. I'm not talking about that today. Or probably ever, because I'm just not. But I remember where I was. I know people that were at school, whether they were in college or even in high school or even younger, some of my coworkers. But I remember where I was that day. One of the things that happened after that day on 9/11 or 9/12, 9/13, people were nicer. I miss that. I don't miss what happened, of course, but I miss people being nice. Like, on my drive home, I typically encountered a lot of traffic. People weren't riding my ass. People were allowing others to merge and to get onto the highway and to change lanes. It was weird. It was nice. People were driving less aggressive. They were less aggressive in person. You would stand at a store and, sometimes if you're standing in line behind someone, say at the grocery store, and you got, Q-tips in one hand and, deodorant in the other, they'll look at you and go, "Oh, is that all you have? Oh, go ahead of me." It doesn't happen often. But on those few days following 9/11, 2001, I saw that more often than I have in the last 23 years. People were just friendlier, more relaxed, more chill. I don't understand, why. Maybe it was just everybody was in shock. But it was kind of nice. Everybody was just more friendly. The amount of patriotism. I remember seeing flags everywhere. Joe Rogan has even mentioned, because he was living in LA at the time, how you would see people from California with American flags in their windows or bumper stickers or clipped to their windows. Doesn't happen nowadays. People nowadays are offended if their neighbor is flying the United States flag. To them, I say, get the fuck out. But on those days following 9/11, everybody was so patriotic. There was no African American, Irish American, Italian American. Everybody was just American. And it was awesome. And I felt like we were all truly united. I mean, granted, yes, there's still people that, bickered and whatever, but as a whole, I felt we were more united than ever before. And sadly, that's not the case anymore. Hasn't been for a while. Again, very sadly. I remember, now I'm a baseball fan, but I'm a Red Sox fan. And so therefore, I hate the Yankees. Hate the Yankees. But I remember after that day, the Yankees, I believe, were having a Subway Series with the New York Mets. And I remember watching that game, watching the beginning, and they had a moment of silence. So many people wearing FDNY hats, NYPD hats. Hell, I remember George Bush throughout the first pitch. Now, I don't care what anybody's opinion is of him, and he's not high on my list either. But the roar from that Yankee crowd, that roar was chilling. I'm sitting here thinking about it, literally getting chills when I sat there and watched the beginning of that game. It was thunderous. The pride, the American flags waving in those fans' hands was awe-inspiring. Again, so much has changed in 23 years. Police, fire, EMTs, all first responders were viewed as heroes. People would shake their hands and thank them for their service. Thank you for doing the job that we don't want to do. It's too damn dangerous. Thank you for keeping us safe, and so on and so forth. My, has that changed. And again, I am fully aware of some of the things that have transpired since then. But as I have stated in previous episodes, there's always bad apples in whatever career or field somebody is in. So, are there bad actors and bad apples in law enforcement, fire, and so on? Yes, just like there's shitty car salesmen and, shady auto mechanics and electricians, right? But back then, we viewed these first responders as heroes. Many have died or are sick because of the things they inhaled in the days after. But they were viewed as heroes. So much has changed in 23 years. And yes, there were some bad things, of course, that came from that. There was 2 wars our government got us into. The anti-Muslim sentiment skyrocketed. Again, not good things. I don't like war. I love our military, but I don't like war. Some say, well, it was needed. Okay. Well, we figured out who did it, who conspired to do it, and okay, we did what we did, but again, I'm not going to go down that road today. And as I have said, there was a lot of anti-Muslim sentiment from that day, which I think has subsided through the years, which is also a good thing, because Again, as I've stated a little while ago, there's always some bad apples in everything. Well, there's some bad apples when it comes to extremists in their religions. If I held that anti-Muslim sentiment, then I would not love my niece as much as I do. I love my niece to pieces, and she is Muslim. And if anybody were to say something against her, they would have to answer to me. They don't want to do that, trust me. I think that was mainly because people were looking for someone to blame. Okay, you found someone to blame. The pieces of shit that did this. We don't have to blame everybody, right? For a few bad apples. But where were you on 9/11/2001? How did you hear about what happened? Were you at school? Were you at work like me? Were you driving? Heard it on the radio? Where were you? What were you doing? What was your first thought? How did you react? When earlier I stated in this episode the niceness of people the days following, did you experience that as well? What about the patriotism? Were you out there putting a flag in your yard? Do you still do it? If not, why? I want to know. Again, you can find me on X at Eric Not Sorry or on Facebook at Unapologetically Eric. And to the families of those that suffered the loss on that day, that tragic, horrific loss, my heart still goes out to you after all of these years. And until my last breath, I will not forget what happened that day. Thank you for listening, and keep being you.